Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of Inside Pima County with County Supervisor Rex Scott. I am Rex Scott, and our latest interview is with the outstanding director of our Economic Development Department, Mr. Heath Vescovi-Chiordi. Welcome,
Sir.
Heath.
Very happy to be here.
Happy to have you with us.
Excellent.
You bet. Hey, so your department was first established in 2012.
Yes.
And you have been with us since how long?
2022. So
2022.
It's been 3.5 years now.
So the department was already 10 years old when you came in.
It was.
But you've made some significant changes since you came in. Why don't you start off by telling us about the structure of the department and the scope of all of your responsibilities, and then we can talk about all of the different things that you've tried to bring in.
Yeah, absolutely. So the department is a small one right now. So we've got myself as the director. We have relatively newly minted Deputy Director Frank Dillon, who came from Santa Cruz County. We also have Kelly Maslin, who's the assistant director, so it sounds a little top-heavy. We also have a project manager named Artemio Hoyos, and then we have my administrative assistant, who is Julie McWilliams, who actually used to work for the wastewater department, retired, and then came back to work for the county in the economic development department. So my role and responsibility is the creation and implementation of the economic development strategy and implementing that right throughout the county. And we do that through various things, leveraging our land assets, working with exterior resources, working with internal departments, and basically just creating a cohesive ecosystem of economic development opportunity for external and regional businesses to thrive and grow and be here. Frank Dillon has a background in architecture and planning. He also actually used to work for the city of Tucson and Pima County, so he's familiar with the ecosystem here. In his role at Santa Cruz County, he did community and workforce development as well as some economic development. And he and I had the pleasure of working on the EDA recompete grant opportunity. And so when he came on board, we really leaned into grant opportunities with him. He also will draft a lot of the different memos, do a lot of the research for us that we do when we are vetting companies and things like that, and slowly expanding his role into new things as things pop up. And a lot of things do pop up in our department. Kelly traditionally is working on workforce development. She's doing an extraordinary job there. She's also our direct liaison with the universities in the region, as well as the JTED, Pima Community College, NAU, and ASU. We don't talk about ASU that much, though. She used to work at ASU, so we have to give her a bye there. And then Artemio does all of our infrastructure planning. So if anything related to land, infrastructure, or submitting requests for information to the Arizona Commerce Authority, he is the gentleman that handles those general tasks. And then probably the most important is Julie, who quite literally keeps my calendar and keeps me sane. So that's the brief breakdown of the department.
You know, I know how supportive you are of everybody on your team, so I'm not surprised that you started off by sharing all of their credentials and qualifications. What's your background that made it so essential for us to hire you as our economic development director?
I love that. Essential to hire me. So I've lived in the region since I was 18. So that's been 20 years. I came here to go to the University of Arizona. I graduated from there twice. I got my undergrad and my graduate degrees there. Graduate is public administration, and then my undergrad was political science and Spanish. As soon as I graduated with my master's, I did an internship with the town of Marana. That was a 6-month thing that turned into my first job actually out of college in my field that I wanted to be. I was there for about 8 years. While I was there, I did everything. So I ran their airport. I did all the legislative lobbying on behalf of the town. I was the assistant to the town manager. I did economic development, community development. I make the joke frequently that I did everything except be a police officer and a judge, basically. So great place to cut your teeth because it's a small organization at the time, around 300 employees. So getting to do a little bit of everything really kind of cleared the way for me to learn about how a local government works from the ground up. Also, it being kind of a middle-sized entity in Pima County, I got to see how it interacted with all the regional municipalities as well as the city and unincorporated county stuff. So that was really exciting. I learned so much. And I think that diverse background allowed me to put myself in a decent position for this opportunity when Dr. Moffitt, the former director of economic development, retired.
Now, it's fair to point out, I'm sure you've heard this from himself, that Kurt Woody with the town of Marana says that you should be giving him a cut of your paycheck since he taught you everything that you know.
He deserves royalties for sure. And I can't afford it, so I just treat him like royalty instead.
Okay.
He deserves
All right.
it.
Very good.
Yeah.
So, with regard to the county's economic development strategic plan, that is really a roadmap, if you will, for everything that your department does.
Correct.
And you last brought it to the board a year after you came to the county. Talk to us about that version of the strategic plan and the new version that is going to come before the board next year.
Yeah. So I like to think about this kind of iteratively, right? So before I was here, there was an economic development strategic plan. It was a very large plan, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. The department before I came here was effectively two people, and former county administrator Chuck Huckleberry was very hands-on with economic development. So it was a 150-page plan with just as many initiatives underneath it, right? And so that was for a department proper of two, as well as Chuck. And they were all extremely talented people, I should say, are extremely talented people. And it was a lot to do. So when I came in, we decided to redo the plan and update it effectively so that it would facilitate what my departmental vision was, if you will. And that vision obviously coincides with the Board of Supervisors, the policies therein, as well as what county administration's prerogative is too. So we developed that plan, and it ended up being a year-long process to develop that. We worked in tandem with a third-party consultant. During that year-long process, we interviewed hundreds of different businesses, entities, organizations throughout this entire region, as well as outside, so that we could figure out where our best assets were, how we can leverage them, what methods and mechanisms, right, we can create to create opportunities here for businesses, basically everything from the ground up, right? However, we kept the spirit of the original plan because it is to create economic opportunity and vitality. So that was kind of the methodology of the entire thing. Once done, we brought it to the Board of Supervisors for first consideration. There was a request to extract kind of the 5 quickest things that we could do from the plan, as well as you recommended establishing some key performance indicators. So we did both of those things, then took it back in April for the final approval, which happened. And then we were off to the races with the 2023-2026 economic development strategy. It's a 40-page plan instead of a 150-page plan, and there are 30 initiatives in it. So it's much more manageable, and it's a little bit more tactical at scale. As we go and we develop the next iteration, this is going to be strictly an update, not a brand new plan. So we're going to reinforce the existing plan with new data. The data is very, very critical and very important in how it identifies our sectors, our pillars, and how we're kind of dividing and conquering with our labor, if you will, and also community engagement. So we had the first meeting, as you know, on November 12th. That was an excellent roundtable kickoff with all of our municipal jurisdictional partners, as well as the Pasquayaki tribe. Also did, of course, invite the Tohono O'odham to participate and City of South Tucson. And we got some very, very good feedback, and we're really excited about that. So as we go through this, we will still continue to engage the community. We'll engage our partners, and then we will engage the businesses as well. We'll do a few surveys, and we'll use all of that feedback to then update the existing plan. And that might require certain small tweaks here and there, but effectively you'll see a greater iteration of what we currently have. We'll then run that to the Economic Development Administration at the federal level. We'll get it approved as our community and economic development strategy again. And then the next time we look at updating a plan, likely it'll be a brand new plan to take into consideration several different factors as things change at the federal, state level, and all those types of things.
And we talked about that step of taking it to the Federal Economic Development Administration when we met with our jurisdictional partners a few days ago. What's the importance of that? And once it passes muster with them, what does that mean for the county and for the other jurisdictions?
So what I will say is I have no worries that the new version of this plan or the updated version won't get approved by the EDA simply because it'll be a greater version. But the benefits are many, and I think primarily it's 2 things. Number one, having it recognized by the EDA gives us a bit of a reputation, if you will, so we can claim that we have an EDA-certified plan. The other thing is, and this is a more tangible outcome, is that it puts us in a better position to get federal level grants that are specific to economic development through the EDA. but also through other federal departments, right, that are kind of tangential to economic development.
Not just us, but the 5 cities and towns.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
And
All right.
primarily we would do that in conjunction and cooperation with every single one of them, 9 times out of 10.
To that point, that conjunction and cooperation, how frequently are you meeting with your counterparts in the cities and towns? And who are some of the other important jurisdictional partners
Sure.
that you're working with as our economic development officer?
So we have a set quarterly regional economic development meeting that we participate in. So the county leads that, and that includes all of our regional partners. So that's the Chamber of Southern Arizona, the regional chambers that exist throughout the county, our economic development partners, our tribal partners, University of Arizona, Tucson Electric Power, so utility, academia, Pima Community College, the JTEDs of the world, right? So we get everybody under one roof and we talk about what's happening, what's new, what's troubling us. We give positive updates also so that we know that we're making progress in certain areas. And that's really beneficial because it puts us all kind of on an even playing field. And it's actually kind of similar to when we have department head meetings here at the county. It gives everybody the knowledge about what is happening in all of the jurisdictions. So if somebody asks me a question about what's happening in Marana, I can speak intelligently about it. And I can also refer them to Kurt Woody, right, for more information, who's the economic development director for the town. As far as those that I chat with and work with, it's everybody almost every single day, which is exciting. So I mentioned Kurt from Marana, Victor Gonzalez from the town of Saurita, Paul Melcher from Oro Valley. We actually have an IGA with the city of South Tucson to provide economic development support services for them. We're actually delving back into that to see if we need to update that or renew it in any form or fashion. And then with the city of Tucson, we worked with their economic initiatives director and primarily her at the time, and then Mike Chakowski right now. And then, of course, we have a line to many elected officials, and that primarily is through the Board of Supervisors. And we work with everybody that wants to work with us, too.
In terms of recruitment of business to Pima County, when you're trying to sell the county
Sure.
as a great place to either locate or expand a business, what are some of the attributes that you find people are most interested in?
There's a few different things. So depending on the business and if they're expanding, if they're coming into this market as a new market, or if it's a new business kind of creating itself for the first time, workforce is always one of the top two. And nowadays, power, right? Reliability and capacity. So those are really the two things that we start focusing on when it comes to kind of the business case, if you will, about why they can come here. Available capacity and a trained workforce are two of the most important things. From that point on, we lean into working with Pima Community College, the U of A, and all of our educational partners to kind of shore up that workforce component. And then we'll obviously reach out to our utility providers, which does not just include Tucson Electric Power, but also Trico, and then obviously City of Tucson Water, Pima County Regional Wastewater, and all of the surrounding municipalities, utility directors, and things like that. The reason that we do that is because they need to understand the businesses that we, number one, work regionally and collaboratively, but also so that they understand what the specifics are when it comes to not only capacities, but permitting, costs associated with those things. It all kind of comes together, right, to make the business case for them. We also talk about available land, what the cost of land is in this region, proximity to utilities that may or may not exist, what a utility build out might cost. You name it, we're doing a little bit of everything every single time. Even demographic information, existing business clusters that are here right now that would be complementary to them, if there's any perceived competition, potential collaborations, how we do educational partnering or credentialing with PCC. Really, it's a case-by-case basis, but we do have a nice quiver of arrows, if you will, to pull from.
With regard to the Prosperity Initiative, which is a policy framework that the board passed actually just a few months after we passed the updates to the Economic Development Strategic Plan. It's a policy framework that's supposed to guide us towards making budgetary resource allocation decisions that have an impact on intergenerational poverty.
Yes.
What do you see as the way that those two plans dovetail? the economic development strategic plan and everything that you do to have it guide the work of your office and its alignment with the Prosperity Initiative?
That's a wonderful question, and it's going to dovetail into a couple of other things too. So, the Prosperity Initiative, I feel like now has become one of the undercurrents of the policy decisions of the board, as well as administration, right, implementing it. And so, it's something that's always right here in the back of our minds as we're implementing things. Just because our plan was approved before the Prosperity Initiative doesn't mean that we don't integrate the Prosperity Initiative into it now. Our plan is meant to be nimble and malleable. And so being able to pull from the Prosperity Initiative as inspiration and direct initiatives that co-link with one another is a really, really amazing thing. So how they work together is actually through the development of the Prosperity Initiative. We have had several meetings with Helen and others that are working on it. And we basically have identified components of the Economic Development Strategic Plan that directly relate to the Prosperity Initiative. So we know where those direct links are. We also know what our nexus is there. And so when we're talking about reducing generational poverty, one of our key components is that we're creating upward economic mobility. And so those two things go hand in hand. So it's not just about ensuring that young individuals or older individuals or whomever have good jobs, but it's about them being able to move up or down or side to side as they see fit. So they have that latitude to do what they need to do. Consistency and access to those opportunities is key so that they can build wealth. That wealth building allows them to help conquer that intergenerational poverty that we're experiencing. And it is just one component of all the 13 policy components to the Prosperity Initiative that we focus on. Of course, there's other ancillary connections, right, every now and again. And I think because the two plans were done at different times, but now we're kind of coalescing a little bit more, we're finding additional links over and over and over again.
And I'm sure that's true for all of our departments.
It is, yes.
Especially as the Prosperity Initiative becomes front and center when we're moving through our annual budgetary process.
I feel like it's led to less silos, right? And
Good.
more of this unified approach to how we deliver services throughout the county.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. So with regard to bringing more business, more jobs into the region, we not only have your department,
Yep.
but we also have a contractual relationship
Yes.
with the Chamber of Southern Arizona. Talk about how you work with county administration to oversee that contract.
Sure.
And talk about your ongoing partnership with the chamber and its staff.
Yes. So the contract that you're referring to is housed in the Economic Development Department. That is done between economic development, I should say among economic development, county admin, and the chamber themselves, right? So we figure out what that contractual obligation looks like. And that's based off of what our department is capable of, what they are capable of, and where the perceived gaps are, right? So we're filling in those gaps. They have a unique role to play. We have a unique role to play on the public side as well. And then, of course, codified and approved by the board, right? So once it hits that sweet spot, you guys give us a 5-0 vote, hopefully, and everything moves forward. I would say the primary ways that we work together are on the attraction component, so new jobs and new businesses coming into the region. And I would also give a shout out to the heavy retention and expansion component that we work with the chamber on all the time. The chamber's got a very healthy membership, as do all the regional chambers. So we go out, and I just did a BRE visit today, actually. BRE is Business Retention and Expansion. And it's basically keeping a pulse or your finger on the pulse of the health of the businesses that exist here today, right? So we work with the chamber on those. And it's not just the county and the chamber, it's the county and the chamber and the city if it's a business in the city. It's the county, the chamber, the Marana Chamber, and Marana's Economic Development Department if it's in Marana, right? So you get how that kind of works as
Sure.
an ecosystem. The other thing is they can do some things that we can't, right? So if there are non-disclosure agreements and things like that, they can sometimes execute those and have discussions that might lead to a company or a business coming and then chatting with us if they're looking at a county land asset. There's a whole bunch of different kind of varieties and variations of what we can do and how we do it with them.
Heath, with regard to just the average constituent, what do you think is most important for them to know about your department and your goals for its success?
That's such a loaded question. That's tough. I always want to err on the side of two things, and I think they run parallel to each other. Number one is we're here if anybody needs anything. We don't just we're tasked with economic development, but we're a public facing department and I serve the public. So if anybody has a question about anything, I can be an entry point to the larger county, right? That's the thing. And I think that's a lovely role to play because you're a liaison, right, in some
Sure.
form or fashion. I think the other thing is that our goals are very clear and very obvious. And if ever anybody has a question about what we're trying to do, they can always just ask, or they can look at our plan, right? So they know that what we're trying to do is create jobs and wealth, but we're also trying to do that in a balanced way. So it's not your traditional, we're just trying to get every single business to come into the region to plant roots here. It's very tactical. We have industry focus areas. All of those things are codified in policy that's approved by you all. So there is a lot of nuance to the way we do it, but we're being very specific, right? And we do that also to balance the other priorities of the county: natural resource management and stewardship, climate adaptation. All of those things are in the back of our heads while we're talking with businesses and trying to expand them here.
And your one of your last comments made me think to ask this question. What are some of those industry focus areas for Pima County?
Yes. So aerospace and defense is a very large one because of the large amount of companies we have here in that industry. We actually have about 200 aerospace and defense related companies.
Mm-hmm.
It's not codified in the plan, but optics and photonics as an enabling technology for all of the other things that we do, whether it's battery manufacturing, whether it's aerospace and defense, whether it's advanced manufacturing. So we focus on companies that are engaged in optics and photonics. Transportation, distribution, and logistics, partially because of the 10 and the 19, but also our proximity to Mexico and then how close we are to the ports. We have the port of Tucson here, and which is a multimodal facility, and then the port of Long Beach, right? So there's a lot of goods that can move through the region. Clean and renewable energy is another one. I don't know if you want me to name all six, but then we also have kind of a catch-all that's advanced and emerging technology. So if there is something interesting to us that might have potential or could very well have potential, we'll verify that as much as we can, and we kind of use that as the bucket, right? To say, oh yeah, we had an AI or maybe a quantum computing company come and approach us, and we really wanted to explore the potential.
So to wrap things up, what did we not talk about that you think is important to discuss before we sign off?
We take our cues from the board, right? So we know that though, and I think it's always good to have that codified policy document because we can refer back to that, and so can you all. So it gives us very solid ground to stand on. I'll always double down on being a public resource, so that's something that we're very, very passionate about. And I think really internally working with all the different departments, that's we're learning a lot more about a lot of other departments too. So we're learning how they play into us and how we play into them. And I think as long as we're still learning and we're figuring things out and we're working cohesively, we have a really, really amazing department with a lot of opportunity right at our fingertips.
Well, it's not surprising that you started and finished in the same way, talking about the strengths of your team. Thank you for being that kind of leader, and thanks for all your hard work.
I appreciate you, sir.
All
Thank
right,
you.
buddy. You bet. Thanks. And thank you all very much.
We got to do it again.
Do we?